Hey everyone, this is your body code practitioner out here, Emmanuel Zavaios in Salt Lake City. Just want to do a really quick video for you guys, and I know obviously I haven't been so adamant about this book, but I am really interested in continuing this commentary, and the thing is I am very busy. I've been working with about 115 clients a week, so I've been staying kind of busy. So I'm going to try to stay consistent with reading this book. I appreciate you guys and your patience. I am going to be putting this in a sort of file on YouTube to do it back to back. I've had some requests from people that it's kind of hard to find what's the next chapter or what's the next area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go put it in a certain section for you guys, and then you'll see it all in one row. And so I look forward to doing that for you guys. And we're on page 75. We're going to go from 75 to 80 today. And so if you're following along, I'm back into the nature of everything. That's where we're going to start off. And obviously I'm going to go start reading, and then if I have any side notes, you'll see me mention something. So, okay, the first thing is this. The nature of everything. Most of us never learn that everything around us is made of energy, vibrating at different levels, making things look different, taste different, smell different, and feel different. We live in what I like to call a Lego universe. In case you've been living in a cave, or perhaps have no experience with children, Legos are little plastic building blocks that come in various colors, shapes, and sizes. Anyone who has been to a Legoland theme park can tell you that these little plastic building blocks can be used to build anything from elephants to skyscrapers. Side note, Hayden, if you're watching this, I love you, my son. Miss doing Legos with you. You're about 5 years old. If you watch this ever, you were 5, and I love doing Legos with you. That's my favorite thing. So anyway, back to the book. Our universe is also made of little building blocks called subatomic particles. They are actually not particles at all, but you can think of them as infinitely small units of vibrating energy. If you put enough of these little energies together, you have an atom. Like Legos, differing arrangements of these little energies will produce atoms of different elements, such as hydrogen, carbon, titanium, and so on. And again, like Legos, various atoms can be arranged to make molecules that we call proteins, fats, carbohydrates, and so on. Ultimately, all the things we see around us, literally everything that exists, whether plant, animal, mineral, gas, liquid, solid, or anything else, is made of these little building blocks, and they are made of energy. The mysterious quantum world. Subatomic particles are not really particles. They are instead a quantum, or a quantity of something that is quite indefinable. Quantum physics, or the study of these smallest units of energy, was started by Albert Einstein and his contemporaries. These brilliant scientists devised some very ingenious experiments in an attempt to discover more about the nature of these energies. One of the most startling aspects of quantum research reveals that these energies behave in different ways depending on what the observer is expecting to see. That's interesting. So on a side note, the law of attraction, we can talk about how we are trying to, attract something into our lives. If we see it in a different way, things can be changing. In other words, we are creators, all of us. If we're the son and daughters of a creator, obviously we have the ability to create things with our thoughts. So thought is very important, and it's also, and nowadays, in the last few years, it's been measured. Thoughts are measured through these different machines. It can show the frequency of a thought. And so we live in a very exciting times where we're really, I remember Dr. Brad talks about this, where he says, we're not going into the, actually The Secret, it talks about this, that we're not, back before we were talking about the mind, that's, the future frontier isn't about like technology, it's really about the mind and the heart. Now we're going back to like what really makes us happy, what really changes us is the mind and our heart. And so, anyway, back to the book. And again, like Legos, various atoms can be arranged to make molecules that we call proteins, fats, carbohydrates, and so on. Ultimately, all the things we see around us and literally everything that exists, whether plant, animal, mineral, gas, liquid, solid, or anything else, is made of these little building blocks, and they are made of energy. The mysterious quantum world. Subatomic particles, I'm sorry, I'm actually reading backwards, my bad. One of the most startling aspects of quantum research reveals that these energies behave in different ways depending on what the observer is expecting to see. This is where we left off. Many physicists believe that the only explanation for these mysterious behaviors is that the energies within the atoms themselves are intelligent to some small degree. In one famous experiment, scientists split an atom, sending two of its particles or energies traveling in different directions at nearly the speed of light. After the particles had journeyed a certain distance in different directions, one of the particles passed through a powerful magnetic field that changed its direction of travel. At the same instant, its sister particle changed direction too, at precisely the same angle. Through considerable distance separating them, the two particles were mysteriously connected. What happened to one instantly affected the other with no regard to distance or separation. How do you think this could be? How could these little energies perform such a feat of apparently instantaneous communication if they were so far apart? No one really knows for certain how this phenomenon known as quantum entanglement works. On a side note, Albert Einstein called it this strange energetic behavior. Like he called it as like it's called the spooky. He called it spooky. Anyway, back to the book. However, quantum physics has the spooky effect, and that's what he called it. Anyway, back to the book. However, quantum physics has shown that this phenomenon over and over again, making a change in one particle will cause an instantaneous and equivalent change in a connected particle, no matter how far it is. It appears that distance is no barrier to the connectedness of their energy. Remember, everything is connected to everything else. I want to do a quick comment here. What's really interesting is I was part of a band that was called Non-Locality, and I mean, of all the names of bands, why would I be in a band called Non-Locality? But it talks about how non-locality is how one thing on this side affects something on this side. And I was in a band that really appreciated that quantum physics. And I remember asking him, like, what does this mean? And he's like, well, it has to do with something affecting something else on another side. So they were talking about similar things. But it's interesting that I think a lot of you who are doing emotion code, body code, or things like that, or maybe you're just entering it to get a healing done for yourself or healing for your family, there are things that have happened into your life that are interconnected that have brought you to this point. I'll say it again, there are things in your life that you feel maybe they're horrible acts towards you, or maybe speed bumps in your life, or problems or situations have come up to your life, or new ventures have come into your life that somehow have prepared you to find the emotion code, or somehow prepared you to become a practitioner. And if you look back, I can clearly see that I was in the music industry and I was trying to emote and look into emotions. So I've always kind of been in the emotion. I've always liked poetry and emoting. So it's kind of interesting that I'm an emotion code practitioner. I think there's some preparation for that, to be able to express myself. Also I remember that one of my spiritual leaders told me, he says, hey, you know what? You have one of these cool gifts I want to tell you about. And, there's diverse gifts according to the Bible, and I want to tell you about a gift that's not mentioned in the Bible, but I think you have it. And I don't know if I told you this guys before, but he said, you have this way that I feel really comfortable telling you things about myself. And I've barely met you, but for some reason, I don't feel like you judge me. Almost like, and he mentioned this kind of funny because I was a Catholic before. He said, almost like me confessing to a Catholic priest who wouldn't judge me for the things that I've done. You give off that feeling. And I remember the first thought I said in my mind was, I'm a host. No, I'm a greeter at Verizon Wireless. How the heck am I going to use that cool thing that I have as a greeter for Verizon? But see, then I realized that now as an emotion code practitioner, is it a good thing that I can make people feel comfortable to share information about themselves? Of course. And so that's what trust me, there are things that are carving you right now that are putting emotion code in your way. Now, whether you're going to use it for your family, whether you're going to use it as a practitioner, I don't know. But just know, like, a lot of you guys have resentment out there. Trust me, I feel it every day. There's resentment. I'm not being treated fairly, but there's stuff that's out there carving you to help benefit you. Anyway, back to the book. Someone needed to hear that message today. I don't know who it was, but hopefully you appreciate that. Anyway, back to the book. Making a change. Okay, here we go. Remembering the kamikazes. The inexplicable phenomenon of connectedness is not restricted to the behavior of individual subatomic particles. However, it has also been shown to occur in the cells in the human body. In one well-known study, white blood cells were taken from a subject and placed in a petri dish. White blood cells are responsible for seeking out and destroying foreign bacteria, toxins, and other invaders. The subject was hooked up to electrodes to measure the electrical activity of his body. His white blood cells were also placed in a highly sensitive device that was able to measure their electrical activity. Exact measurements were taken of the electrical level of both the patient and his white cells. One of the men in the study have served in the Navy during World War II and an aircraft carrier stationed in the Pacific Ocean. While he was there, Japanese kamikaze suicide pilots had attacked. The man was terrified, and more than once, he was sure he was going to die. After he was hooked up to the electrodes, he was shown newsreel footage, that's kind of sad, of kamikaze, it's almost like triggering his PTSD, footage of kamikaze pilots diving and attacking aircraft carriers during the war. While it was a long event, his body had not forgotten it. The sudden acute anxiety that he felt showed immediately on the readout from the electrode on his body. This comes as no real surprise, but the researchers were amazed to see that his white blood cells on the other side of the room showed exactly the same burst on the readout. Both readouts were essentially identical. The electrical currents of the cells were suddenly just as erratic as the currents in his body. The researchers turned off the projector, and the electricity in both the man and his blood cells across the room returned back to normal. The scientists could hardly believe it. They repeated the test a number of times with similar results each time, just to see what would happen. The test was repeated again, but the distance between the patient and his white blood cells was increased. In fact, the measuring device containing the still living white blood cells was driven to another laboratory a number of miles away, and the test was repeated. Keeping precise records of the times and electrical activities of the man in the room and his cells several miles away, the researchers repeated the experiment again and again. The man was shown the kamikaze clips, then allowed to relax. Then he was shown the newsreels again and again, and then allowed to relax. The electrical activity in the man's readouts and those of his living blood cells several miles away matched every time. That's amazing. The results of this test went against everything the scientists had been taught. Ask anyone whether a man who gets upset watching a movie can make his blood cells upset many miles away, and you'd probably be laughed at. Sounds impossible, yet it happened. The intelligent universe. Amazing things like this seem absolutely miraculous. And by the way, I think Dr. Brad did mention before this moment where a mother was feeling this pain, sort of like this hitting pain, while the son was in a different location, and the son was getting beat up by, I think, by police officers or something. Something was happening where he was being jumped, and the mother was awake very, very late at night and was feeling the hits from that. Also, I've noticed on a side note with cords, sometimes I work with clients and we find cords. They're not usually in the best places. These little cords can be in the heart area, or it could be in the head, it could be in the gut. But what's interesting is that if you have a gut-to-gut cord with someone, let's say you had a relationship and 20 years ago, you guys ended on a bad note, but maybe you guys are still connected in the gut. What happens is you can be connected in this gut area, and technically you're still feeling energies from that person. They could be 300 to 500 miles away. You're still feeling the emotions that they feel of an ex-boyfriend, and you're still connected to them. And sometimes you're like, I don't know why I feel angry today. I don't know why I feel sad today. I don't know what's, there could be energies you're feeling from an ex that they're going through hard times right now, and you're still feeling through this cord their trapped emotions. So talk to your body code practitioner. Make sure you don't have any cords with anybody from your past. It could cause you to kind of affect your emotional homeostasis. So back to the book. The intelligent universe. Amazing things like this seem absolutely miraculous because we don't understand them. In fact, we are just now beginning to understand the mysterious nature of energy, how it works, and how it can be harnessed. I believe that one of the greatest secrets of the universe is just now beginning to be unveiled. This great secret has to do with the modern discovery of the intelligent nature of subatomic particles, or the intelligent nature of energy. Imagine for a moment that what quantum physicists are saying is true. Imagine for a moment that the universe in which we live is entirely made of energies that are themselves somehow intelligent. Think about this. The chair you are sitting in right now is made of energy. Okay, I'm just kidding. That energy is intelligent. Your chair can't think in the way humans do, of course, but it's composed of countless little energies that are doing precisely what they're supposed to do to keep your chair in one piece, helping to make your experience in the world what it is. Max Planck, one of the greatest minds of the 20th century and considered the father of quantum theory, made the following statement when he was awarded the Nobel Prize for Physics. As a man who has devoted his whole life to the most clear-headed science, to the study of matter, I can tell you as a result of my research about atoms this much. There is no matter as such. All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force which brings the particle of an atom to vibration, holds the most minute solar system of the atom together. We must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. The mind is the matrix of all matter. The power of intention. Your intention is really another form of energy. I like to think of it as a powerful, directed form of thought energy, because energy is intelligent. Where are we here? Oh, it actually has the ability to obey or cooperate with your intention. Ancient healers demonstrated an understanding of this concept that the universe is filled with and made of intelligent energy, which is able to respond to intention. By the way, for those of you who don't know, some of you guys might know I'm LDS, and from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Now, I don't impose my religion or faith on anybody, and you can have whatever you believe in, and I respect your spirituality, I respect whatever you do. What's interesting, though, it's kind of a cool thing. If you ever look up obey, and look up either the book of Moses or the book of Abraham, it talks about how the gods were creating this earth, and it talks about how they waited until they obeyed. And I thought that's a very interesting concept, that there's information here that talks about obeying. And obviously it's probably going to mention how Jesus Christ could manipulate energy, which actually he does. So I'm kind of reading ahead of him a little bit, or thinking ahead of him. But yeah, obey is very interesting, is that, people think elements can't obey, rocks can't obey, arms can't obey. But, there's just, we live in a kind of obedience world where there is a design and there is a maker. And I personally believe that we're using certain things to manipulate energy and assist energy, while gods work differently. They command things, they say things, and then they wait for the thing to obey. Anyway, back to the book. Ancient healers demonstrated an understanding of this concept that the universe is filled with made of intelligent energy, which is able to respond to intention. Jesus Christ is still known as the greatest healer of all time, as he routinely healed the blind and the disabled, and even raised the dead. His first miracle, though not about healing, dramatically demonstrates the concept of intelligent energy. Jesus was with his disciples at a wedding which the host ran out of wine, a terrible faux pas in those days. Jesus directed the servants to fill some large vessels with water, which he then turned into wine, to the astonishment of all those present. I believe that Jesus simply told the water to become wine and simply obeyed his word. It worked because the water itself was intelligent and therefore able to obey Christ's command. John 2:1-11, KJV. Feel like walking on water? Another example from the Bible is a story that illustrates how our intention can change our reality in a powerful way. Jesus had sent his apostles to cross the sea while he went up on a mountain to pray. The apostles were on their ship in the middle of a stormy sea when in the early hours of the morning they saw a figure walking toward them on water. The apostles were terrified and thought it was a ghost. When they realized that it was their master, Peter cried out to him, "Lord, if it be thou, bid me come unto thee on the water." Jesus said, "Come." Peter got out of the boat and began walking on the water towards Jesus. He was walking on water. But when he looked around and realized how unnatural it was to be doing what he was doing, how bad the storm was, he began to feel fear, and he immediately started to sink. Peter cried out, "Lord, save me." Jesus reached out and caught him, saying, "O thou of little faith, wherefore didst thou doubt?" That's in Matthew 14:22-31, KJV. Peter started out with faith, with the belief that he could walk on water. His faith and intention were so powerful that he was actually able to do it. The intelligence of the water simply responded to his belief, to his intention, in a very immediate way, and the normal state of things instantly changed to support his intention. The moment Peter began to feel fear, his clear intention and faith in his own ability to walk on water began to diminish. As his faith diminished, his clear intention vanished, and so he began to sink. Because the universe had to respond to his new state of mind, Peter began to sink because he began to doubt, to fear. You might think of doubt and fear as being on one side of a scale and faith and belief on the other side. If your doubt and fear increase, your faith and belief will decrease, and vice versa, almost like a seesaw. The universe supports your beliefs about yourself too. If you think you can't, the universe will support that belief and you will not succeed. On the other hand, if you think you can, the universe will support that belief and you'll be empowered. And on that note, we'll end right there. Walking on Air, page 80. Also, I want to share with you guys, again, if you haven't followed me on Instagram, I'm going to be doing more live healings there. I believe it's just Emmanuel Zavaios. You can find me there. You'll probably see a picture of me in a suit. Follow me there. I'll be doing live healings there. If you have friends and family that Would appreciate some positive quotes, positive motivational things. Follow me on Instagram, and I look forward to meeting with you guys again. And I'll leave some information below if you're looking for a complimentary session, or if you have a question, you can send it to me in Compass Healing 2019. If there's anything that I could do to help you along your journey, I'm here for you. And if you're seeing an emotion code, body code practitioner, good for you. Keep seeing them. This is just a good reference for you guys to kind of help you along your journey. All right, take care, guys. Bye.